my dears.
What the hell is wrong with you?
What the hell is wrong with you?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Ryno's Rants. Before we get started, I just have one thing I want to say here first.
Finally,
Dalton Risner has signed with Minnesota. Big news, of course, coming out late this afternoon that Dalton Risner has, in fact, signed a contract with the Minnesota Vikings. It is a one-year deal worth up to $4 million, 2.25 of that guaranteed. So then the question will be where he fits in on the line and what happens with him and all that. But before we get into that, good evening, Dave. Good evening, Ray. Good evening, My Worthless Opinion. Doc Proto, Nick, all you guys, again, welcome. Thank you for joining once again. So let's break down this Dalton Risner thing while we're at it here, since that is the A topic of the day, and of course something that Vikings fans have been clamoring for several months now. Of course, you know, we had kind of alluded to the fact that this might happen with the mini bye that we have here after the Thursday night game last week. You know, took 3 days, 4 days, whatever it was, to finally get him in here. But I'm guessing there was some pretty heated discussions going on within the walls of Twin Cities Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Performance Center. But finally, it came to pass this afternoon. Dalton Risner has taken to social media already, posted a picture of the departure boards from the airlines that he had actually posted that last week, and then today reposted it with the caption, "One-way ticket to Minnesota." Good evening, Reggie. So I guess now that Risner is officially in the building. Nick bet this happened on Friday. I don't know if it happened on Friday. I'm thinking over the weekend there were, like I said, some pretty heart-to-heart talks with all those involved, whether it came from, you know, I don't know if KOC and Kwesi were on the same page before with the current setup, or if one wanted something the other one wasn't quite sold on. Was it maybe discussions with Kirk and saying, hey, you know, you guys got to get me some help here. I'm getting killed out there. I don't know what finally pushed the needle over. I mean, the needle was pushed, you know, weeks ago as far as I was concerned, but he is at least here now. And now the question becomes, where does Risner play? Of course, Oli Udoh done for the year, most likely with his injury. So my guess is that Blake Brandel moves back out to tackle again, along with Quisenberry. And sure, KOC was not happy seeing his quarterback killed again. If he was happy with that performance, I don't know what to tell you. Of course, you know, the big problem has been Ed Ingram over at right guard. Now, in the NFL, Risner has played exclusively left guard in Denver. So do they put him in at right guard and leave Cleveland over on the left side? Or do they move Cleveland back over to right guard, you know, where he did play in the past, and put Risner in at left guard? Personally, I think that may be the route that they go. Does he start against the Chargers? I sure to hell hope so. You didn't bring him in here to be a backup. I would say that you get him up to speed. I mean, he basically just got to have the protections figured out and some of the block stuff to get him out there. I mean, we've had guards or interior or offensive linemen starting on less time than this before when we had injuries back in the day, but definitely starts against the Chargers. I hope to God he does. Doc, thoughts Ezra to right guard. That's the way I'm leaning. I think, putting Risner into a position that he hasn't played since college probably is not the best way to succeed against this. Cleveland played right guard 2 years ago, so it's not that far back for him. Did not bring him in here to bench him. Exactly, Reggie. Didn't he play center for some time in college? He did play a little bit of center, so that there is that position flexibility too. I don't think they're starting him over Schlotman right away, especially if he has not played center, and he's 28 years old, so it's been 4 or 5 years at least since he's been probably 5 years since he was in college, I suppose. Guards don't get paid too much. $4 million is roughly starter money. Yeah, I mean, the elite ones are getting paid now, but yeah, I agree. $4 million is starting money. Worthless opinion. Risner at right guard, Cleveland going to left guard, Ingram on the bench. I mean, it's possible. I don't know that that's the most likely. I mean, at this point in time, I don't know what they're thinking, but if it was me, I'd be putting Risner in on the left side, but maybe they think he's, good enough to, or can pick up the right side. And of course, we all know Ingram is the weakest link of the chain there. So whichever way they go with it, then Ingram is going to be the odd man out and on the bench for now. Hope he can bring some aggressiveness and nastiness. That is one thing I've liked about Risner before is he's got some of that nastiness. He's got it of course, last year he basically went after Russell Wilson on the sidelines because Russ was being Russ. So there is that. And I think that, honestly, I think that might be part of the reason why he hasn't signed with the team up until now, is just some of that issue there. Doc, just happy that we seem to be trying to fix the problem. Exactly. I don't know why we waited this long, whether it's Kwesi playing, stacking pennies and whatever all else, because now that the season has started, the contract's not fully guaranteed since he's a vested veteran, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. If that's the case and they let Kirk get killed for 2 weeks just to save a few bucks, then I don't like that move, but be that as it may, Josh can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs. Absolutely, you are correct. This is not and if your offensive linemen are so fragile that they can't have their feelings hurt because they're getting replaced because they haven't been playing up to par, then they don't belong out there anyway, because the offensive line is no place for people of a fragile psyche, we'll put it that way. So, I think Risner, he should start on Sunday. In regards to Risner being an asshole, yep, I'm fine with him being an asshole as long as he gets the job done out there and doesn't become cause a distraction in the locker room. And, this is a 1-year deal, so if it doesn't pan out, we're not out much. He's going to be an improvement over Ingram in pass blocking at least, and hopefully in run blocking too, because our interior offensive line has been horse crap with run blocking this year so far too. So Probably didn't foresee Darisaw out still and losing Udo. Just thought they could limp through. I mean, Darisaw should be back on Sunday from everything I've heard so far, but yeah, trying to just limp through with your offensive line when you have a quarterback who is a pocket passer. Good evening, Skull for Life. Welcome. If Kirk was a mobile quarterback like a Jalen Hurts or a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, somebody like that, yeah, you can probably get by with what we've got and make it work. But when he is a traditional drop back pass, pocket passer, does not get out and move too much, you can't have interior offensive line that are collapsing the pocket every time it, comes through. Anthony would be an improvement over Ingram, doubtful, but still, yeah. Doc, concerned about Bradbury. Yeah, I am as well. Hey, Rap, good evening. And this was one of the concerns I brought up when we re-signed Bradbury and we've talked about it on this show, we've talked about it on the main show, everything else. When you get a lineman, especially interior guys that start having back issues, they don't typically get better. So signing Bradbury to a contract extension, in my mind, was a mistake. They should have went out and got a center either in the draft or free agency, something like that. Because, we brought it up on Friday. This is what happened to John Sullivan. He hurt his back and he was never the same again. Now, Bradbury wasn't overly effective to begin with, and now you put that back injury on him. And when it's all about leverage in that middle. How we lost Sully. Yep, exactly, Doc. It was. I don't. At least with Bradbury's contract, it's something we can get out from under after this year fairly cheaply. And we're going to have to, because if he's dealing with a bad back one game into the season, it's not going to get better by week 3, week 4, whatever. I mean, we're going to be stuck with Schultman starting at center for the majority of this season. I mean, Bradbury might, give him 3-4 weeks to rest. He might be able to come back for a little bit, but I'm not holding my breath on it. But that's one of the biggest concerns. We kind of roll into the sky is not falling for the Minnesota Vikings, and we've been seeing the national media and everything pushing the narrative already. The Vikings need to trade Kirk Cousins to the Jets because the Jets are only a quarterback away, and the Vikings, this, that, everything. Okay, first off, the Vikings are a game out of first place in the NFC North. You do not trade away your starting quarterback, or I've also heard Danielle Hunter being tossed around as trade again, or your leading pass rusher when you're a game out of first in your division, especially in week 2. They're talking about how the Jets are a quarterback away, after Rodgers went down. These are the same people that are out there saying that Kirk is god-awful on prime time and this, that, and everything else, and not give – but you can't have it both ways, guys. It's either, okay, Kirk is god-awful and way overrated and this and that and everything else, or he's the missing piece to the Jets Super Bowl puzzle. He can't be both. And the thing that everybody is not considering, most people are just, knee-jerk going off on tangents about this stuff. First and foremost, Kirk Cousins has a no-trade clause in his contract, meaning he would have to waive that clause in order for the Vikings to trade him anywhere. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't see any real reason why Kirk would waive that no-trade clause to go to the Jets. First off, the Jets have probably a worse offensive line than the Vikings do. So that's not going to go in Kirk's favor. Also, the Jets still have Aaron Rodgers under contract, and Aaron Rodgers has said he plans to play next year. So why would Kirk Cousins go there knowing full well that there's probably very little chance of him getting a contract extension from the Jets? It makes absolutely no sense when you sit and look at it rationally. Skull for life, not a Kirk lover, but you can't deny his play. Absolutely, Skull for life. I've never been a Kirk stan or anything like that either. But when the guy plays well, he deserves to be praised for what he does. And Kirk could not have done anything more, really, against the Eagles the other night. I mean, he played well. 4 touchdown passes, 360 some odd yards. Good evening, Justin. You missed some of the my talking points from earlier, so you'll have to come up with your own for part of your show. But inside joke between Justin and I there. While I'm thinking about it too, guys, hit that like button. We got 14 people watching right now. I've only got 3 likes so far, so hit that like. And if you have not done so, hit the subscribe as well. Worthless opinion. Cousins is our quarterback for the year. All the talk about trading him is just empty wind. Absolutely. It's just the national people losing their minds because they've been slurping all over the Jets for the last 6 months. And now all of a sudden, with Rodgers out and going back to Zach Wilson, they are not looking so hot. And they want to be able to, say, oh, they were right about the Jets and this, that, and everything else, even though most of us, I think, were right about the Jets. They weren't going to go too far, even with Rodgers. But now without him, it's going to be the same Jets that they had last year, basically. So, Ray, what happens if the Vikings lose the next 2? If we lose the next 2 games, then we have some serious problems. Justin comes in. If they lose the next 2 and get to 0-4, you can count on them being 0-5, and then you sell off Hunter, Smith, and Kirk if you can. The Wilfs wouldn't do that. No, the Wilfs aren't going to sign off on something like that until there's absolutely no chance that the Vikings can make the playoffs. I mean, if you get to 0-4, 0-5, the chances of making the playoffs are pretty slim. But I think I believe that they're going to see the urgency and go out and beat the Chargers this week, get us back to 1-2. Depending upon what the other 3 do, we could have a 4-way, at least a 3-way tie for the division. If Chicago decides to win, we could have a 4-way tie. I don't know if there's any division games this week or not, but this playoffs. I just hope we can win a game. Playoffs. Okay, that's my impersonation for the night there. But yeah, the thing that's going on with the Vikings is the reasons why we lost those first 2 games. Most of it is correctable. I mean, the biggest thing is you cannot be -6 in the take-give category through 2 games and expect to be doing much. I mean, 3 turnovers week 1, 4 turnovers this past week, and all but really one of them was super critical. I mean, you had the one right away where Ingram let Kirk get hammered and he lost that one. You had Alex Madison fumbling on the first play from scrimmage. Either one of those could have turned the tide of the game. Brandon Powell with a hell of a punt return and then loses it at the end. I mean, that was setting us up probably in field goal range right where it was at. The most critical one, of course, was the rule, of course, that I brought this up on Friday. I hate this rule about fumbling out of the end zone, but that one that, Justin Jefferson, when he fumbled it out for a touchback, that was a 10-point swing because we would have had the 7 points there. Instead, Philly went down and scored a field goal right before the end of the half. Just that play alone, we probably would have won the game. So and those fumbles and things like that's just freak stuff that normally doesn't happen and shouldn't be happening. So, I think that's correctable. The play calling is correctable. We got to get a little bit more creative, get the running game going. Mix in Madison, mix in Gaskin, mix in whatever, mix in Ty Chandler. You don't have to just pretend that Alexander Madison is going to be the Dalvin Cook bell cow, because he's not that. We all know he's not that. He's still lead back, that's fine, but this has to be a running back by committee. It has to mix things up, get mismatches, get them out in space, whether it's some jet sweeps, whether it's running it off tackle, that running it up the middle behind a backup center and Ed Ingram, not a real recipe for success. Doc, if I was Kirk, I would refuse all trades, not move my family, take pick or where I want to go next year. If I want to play anymore, dude has enough money. And I think that's what would happen, Doc. I honestly, unless just for some reason or another, Kirk is fed up with the situation here, which I don't think he is, and decides, hey, yep, fine, get me the hell out of here. But I don't think that's the case. And like I said before, I don't foresee him waiving his no trade clause to go play 8 or 9 games with a team and having very little of any shot of, signing an extension there. Because, with what they paid Rodgers, even though he took a pay cut, you're not going to pay Kirk and Rodgers at the same time. So it makes no sense. And if I'm the Vikings, you ride out this season with Kirk. We get to the very end and we're, 5-11 or whatever. Good evening, GMAC. 5-10, 5-11, whatever, and we're out of the picture. You want to give Jaron Hall a game or two just to kind of see what you got with the kid. I'm fine with that. But right now, we're a game out of first. The sky is not falling. We're not going to be trading Danielle Hunter. We're not trading Kirk Cousins. The division is still well within our grasp. Chicago's a dumpster fire. Been laughing out all day long watching all of these Chicago Bears fans on the X-Files losing their ever-loving minds because they're coming to the realization that all the hype and the pomp and the circumstances surrounding Justin Fields and his, MVP caliber type play and stuff that everybody was pushing before the season is complete bullshit. I saw a Bears fan or a Bears podcast, whatever it was, go out there, make a post today and said, Justin Fields has better weapons this year than he had last year, yet he's playing worse. How the hell is that possible? It boils down to Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. He's a hell of a runner who can occasionally throw the ball, but his decision-making, his accuracy, all that stuff, throwing the ball just isn't there. I saw another place that, Justin Fields looks like the NFL is still too fast for him, even in year 3. And if he's been starting this is into his 3rd year now and it's still too fast for him, chances are he probably is never going to get it. So, I think the Bears are a mess. Jordan Love is looking decent in Green Bay, which I'm okay with them looking decent because I want them to be good, just good enough to not be in the mix for one of those top quarterbacks. Detroit looks good until they pull a Detroit like they did this last weekend with the pick 6 and end up costing the game. So, the division basically is the same as it was last year. So it's very well within our grasp. We haven't played any of the division guys yet. These next 4 weeks are a little bit tough. We got the Chargers, we got the 49ers, we've got the Packers, we've got the Chiefs, and I think we got the Bears up there in the next 5 games. So Jerry, he's playing worse because he's my fantasy football quarterback. If that's the reason why he's still playing bad, keep him on your fantasy team. Make Fields a running back. I don't care what they do with him, but it's the NFC North this year could very well be just like the American League Central is with the Minnesota Twins. A horseshit division that is up for the taking for pretty much anybody that wants to go for it. And, the Vikings are going to keep fighting. They're not going to give up after 2 weeks. Bet you good coaching can still fix him. Maybe. But, he's been doing this for 3 years and hasn't developed any good habits yet. And, again, kind of falls back to when's the last Ohio State quarterback that came into the NFL and was successful? Been a while. None of these guys ever seem to pan out. It only takes one. You just cannot. Just base it all off the helmet. You do have the individual talent, but by the time we play Detroit, they'll have Jamison Williams back. Yeah, if he doesn't do something else to, he was hurt most of last year, and then of course the 6 weeks for gambling and all that other fun stuff. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is an LSU quarterback. Just because he started at Ohio State doesn't mean he's an Ohio State quarterback. They said he couldn't cut it there. So that's why he left and went to LSU. I get a kick out of that now that Ohio State fans are trying to claim Joe Burrow and all this. And Burrow came out, I forget it was last year in the offseason, whatever it was, and said straight out, he said, I'm from LSU. I'm a Tiger, go Tigers, all that other stuff. I'm not an Ohio State quarterback. Quit trying to claim me. So, Skull for Life 9-7 could win the division. It's very possible. Nothing's off the table at this point in time, other than Justin Fields miraculously figuring it out, becoming that Hall of Fame quarterback that everybody predicted he was going to be at the beginning of the year. Jair says 15-2. That's optimistic. I'd love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but stranger things have, so hope Ted Glover isn't lurking. Hey, Ted fully has agreed, too, about Ohio State quarterbacks. He had the same thought process on C.J. Stroud coming out this year. He doesn't think Stroud is going to make it either, which I tend to share the sentiment. But, it's just one of those things. Certain schools put out certain positions that are of high talent on a regular basis, and some have positions that they can't put out anything that, anybody that makes it. But we would have heard from him by now. Meltdown when the Bears got Fields is legendary. Hey, Sean, good evening. But, it's interesting. Green Bay right now, they can't keep their wide receiving core healthy. I think Christian Watson has played 3 games in in 2 seasons, it seems like, and more than that, but he has yet to play this year and doesn't sound like he's going to play again this week. I can't even name all their, I know they got Romeo Dobbs and a couple other guys over there, but I can't even name all their guys. Luke Musgrave, their rookie tight end, looks like he might be something. Of course, I believe nephew of former Vikings offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave. But Chicago, they got better weapons. But Chase Claypool is pretty much non-existent over there. So it just seems like they can't put it all together, and Fields can't figure it out. Detroit's offense is no joke. You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown and company over there. Jared Goff is looking good other than that pick 60 threw the other day. But, their offense is going to put up points, and it's showing it already that they can do that. Their defense is still questionable in certain areas, especially the back end. Up front, Aiden Hutchinson is a hell of a player. So I still think it's us and Detroit fighting it out for the division. Probably going to come down to those two games we play against each other. But, you start looking around the league, there's a lot of teams that people were expecting to be good. Cincinnati's 0-2 right now. Detroit is kind of what I thought we would be. Yeah, you're probably not too far off there, GMAC. Kansas City 1-1. They lost to Detroit to open the season. Burrow has looked terrible so far. Granted, he's still a little bit dinged up, I think, in Cincy. So they're 0-2. The Giants had 60 points scored on them over 6 quarters before they finally turned things around and came back and beat Arizona on Sunday. There's, Miami looks like they could be a thing again this year as long as Tua stays healthy. They've looked pretty impressive so far. Buffalo, I still think is, ahead in that division. Out west, you got 3 good teams there. The Rams are looking good. That Puka Nahua, or however you say his name, he's been more than impressive filling in for Cooper Kupp while he's out. The 49ers are right now, I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFC. Philly didn't really impress me all that much on Thursday. We should have won that game, and we should have won it fairly easily, honestly. Hakuna Matata, yeah, we'll call him that. They just kind of snuck up, I guess, having a ton of early draft picks kind of helps build a team. Yeah, it does. And when you suck for decades, yeah. Beyond that, Arizona, of course, is tanking without tanking. They're going to have 2 very early picks over there. My guess is they're pointing at Caleb Williams and probably Martin Harrison Jr. adding to that team over there. Now, Caleb Williams is, I think it was his dad or his agent or something, has come out and kind of put the buzz out there that if a team that Williams doesn't want to go play for ends up with the number 1 pick, that he may go back to college for his senior season. I mean, that's very possible. Or he could go, the route of Eli Manning or John Elway and refuse to just get drafted, but refuse to play for him. So it's, and the draft stuff, that's all stuff we'll deal with after the season is over. But, it's just like it's too premature to be talking about the draft. It's too premature for Minnesota to be throwing in the towel after an 0-2 start. I mean, realistically, at the end of the season, you end up 10 or 11-6 or whatever. It doesn't matter necessarily where those 6 losses came from. I mean, it does to a point if you're looking at tiebreakers and things like that. But 11-6 is 11-6 for the most part. It's going to get you into playoffs. 10-7 in the North probably gets you in there. 9-8, depending upon the rest of the division, I think probably doesn't. But I think the Vikings figure stuff out over this 10-day break that they had. And the Chargers have got a great offense. I mean, they've got, 2 or 3 very good wide receivers, good running game. Their defense is their weak point. They've got good players. I mean, they got Bosa and they've got a few other guys. Our old buddy Eric Kendricks is over there, but he hasn't really shown up that much this year. But I would look for him to have a little bit of extra motivation this weekend. But I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game between the two of us. I mean, it's going to be a track meet, and I think we could be looking at easily both teams in the high 20s to 30s as far as points go. Hopefully, Flores can dial up some pressures that'll get in Justin Herbert's face and cause some problems for him. But it's going to be interesting, to say the least. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Risner. Does he start right away? Does he rotate in? I think, personally, I think you put him in and get going, because Ingram obviously is not the answer right now, no matter how badly they want him to be. Definitely take the over. I forget what the lines are right now, Doc, but I know that the Vikings and Chargers has the highest over-under for the week of any of the games. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it, I guess. But it is what it is, and the Vikings. You don't want to say that Week 3 is a must-win game, but it pretty much is a must-win game this week. We need to get stuff straightened out. 1 and 2 sounds a hell of a lot better. 0 and 3, that's all I know. But anyway, that's about all I got for tonight. Unless you guys got anything else you want to hit here real quick. Of course, Lance and I hit most of the aftermath on Friday at the live show we had. But if not, of course, remember, we'll have another Brunswick's Best on Wednesday. And studio show Friday night, 6 p.m., where we will preview the game versus the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. But beyond that, want to thank all you guys for joining in again. GMAC, Doc, Dave, Jer, Justin, Rapp, all you guys. I know I'm missing people. My Worthless Opinion, Skull for Life, Sean. Again, the Filipino fan club, Nanoy, Jen, Bibi, Wilma, all you guys over there, thank you for watching as well. But with that, guys, there's a doubleheader of Monday Night Football going on tonight, so let's get out of here. We'll go. We got Risner now. We ain't losing again. I like your optimism, GMAC. But like I said, with that, I'm going to call her a night here, go watch a little bit of football. So you guys have a great rest of your Monday. See you on Wednesday for Brunswick's Best. And once again on Friday for the studio show. So with that, have a good evening, guys.